Hi, welcome to the Retirement Railroad Matinee Modeling Tip of the Day. I'm Steve, and this is part 10.1 of Building Aurora. And I'm dividing this up into multiple parts because this kit's a little more tricky than the rest of them. Okay? And the kit I'm talking about is the Milwaukee beer and ale. Okay? And before I get into this, let's go and take a look at where we are at in Aurora right now and how we got to where we are and where we're going. Okay, so here we are in Aurora, and let's do a quick review. We started with Hoffa Cement right here, and that kit was already built, 25 years old, with some broken and unattached pieces that's been packed away for those 25 years. And so I put it back together, and then I truncated it to fit the lip and area over the staging yard. Now this was much of a test more than anything else, just to see if what my vision was going to work or not for Aurora here. Okay? And after truncating it, getting it lit up and so forth, and track work done there, I said, you know, it's going to work. So then I started looking for kits that were at least 3 stories tall, okay, that I could use as businesses along the team track. And I was at the Real Rails Model Train Show, which is a Bradenton Sarasota club that has our annual train show in Palmetto, which is not too far from you, about a half an hour drive, a little more. And lo and behold, one of the kits I was considering was this flour mill. Okay? And they had it there, already built, and windows blacked out, and this little section here was actually on the back side. So I went ahead and picked it up, and they had 3 other kits that had been cut so that they would fit as backdrop buildings. And 2 of them are shown here, this one and this one. Okay? Now, none of these are really set in stone as to where exactly they're going, other than the ones up front here will be up front, but they may be moved around when I do my final setup, once I have the brewery kit built. Okay? So anyway, I truncated the flour mill, took 2 stories, the bottom 2 stories minus the front, and truncated it off. And then I built an annex, an annex on the backside with a sky bridge connecting the 2. And made some signs, weathered it up, added lighting, and for the lighting I had to take a steel brush on my Dremel and brush off most of the black that had been painted to black out the windows of this building. And so now it has like a dirty window appearance, and it looks like a black wash on the inside of the glazing that gives the appearance of shadows inside. It's a really cool effect at night with the lights on. So anyway, then I weathered it up, and it's sitting right here for now. And that's probably its final place. Okay. I went ahead and I cleaned up some of the windows on this one. So some of the windows are still blacked out. Some of them are brushed out like the flour mill. So you have areas of this building that are lit up and other areas that aren't. I also added a blinking red light to the water tower. All right. And then the next kit was RJ Frost, cold storage facility, all right, which was one of the simpler ones except for this cooling tower. And I'm still not real hot on it. I have not done signage for it yet. It didn't come with any kind of billboards or anything for it. And I think I have the decals, but I've had that kit for so long, I don't know where I put the decals. I'm sure it's in one of my spare parts things. So anyway, I got it all painted up, weathered, blah, 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 and have it sitting here. It will probably, because of its depth, move down here, okay? Because of the depth of this and this are so deep, as the track that runs down the street, it will angle back in stages towards the backdrop here. This building will move. And finally, the last building we built is the Heritage Furniture Factory, which has an over-the-track appearance. So, and in all of these, I used warm yellow lights as indicators of incandescent lighting, which was common back in the 50s and 60s. The the Hoffa Cement has some cool white lights, which is more indicative of fluorescence. Okay. And the Heritage Furniture Factory, again with a blinking red light on its water tower, is all fluorescent lighting, with the exception of over the dock doors down here. It does have some warm white light. So that's kind of where we're at in that regard. And like I say, this will probably move here, and the brewery kit will probably go here. But the brewery kit is a little more complicated. On each one of these, it was simply truncating out certain back halves of it. And we have to do that on the brewery kit, but the difference being these kits, the front facial walls are all one piece, okay? Whereas the brewery kit's not. So let's go back and we'll look at the brewery kit and what I have to do differently with it. So here's the Milwaukee Beer and Ale kit, and as I mentioned, all these front buildings on the team track have to be a minimum of 3 stories tall, because the first 2 stories are down at the team track level, and stories above that will be up on the Aurora street side. Okay. Now, if we look at this building, and this is why it becomes a little more complicated. Not only do we have to do some truncating in this area, okay, taking it out, all right, we have to move this wall forward to line up with this wall, okay? Now that entails cutting away this section here, okay, and the lower 2 floors over here, so that we will have 1 story left of this portion of the building moved forward. Okay, so it'll be 1 story on this side of the building on the street side back over here. Okay. Does that make sense? Now, when all that happens, we have a chimney here. And for the record, we are putting a smoke generator. It is a Sleuth smoke generator. We will be putting that into the chimney on a switch so that I can power it up when showing off, so to speak, like I do with the meatpacking plant. Okay? So, what that does... Okay, so let's look at a diagram and get a better feel for what I'm talking about as far as the complexities go. All right, if we look at this right here, all right, and I'm going to slide it back a little bit more. There you go. And get it straightened out, maybe. All right. As we look at this diagram, from the last page of the instructions. We see this is the track side where the team track will be. And that is 2 floors lower than the street side in Aurora. Okay? So, what has to be done is this section right here, all right, comes out, and a corresponding amount over here on this side. Then the whole rest of the kit gets moved towards the track side and lined up with this front fascia. Now what that does, if you look at this piece here will line up with that. But if you notice here, all right, there's a little, it goes back and over. So this fascia here will come straight across and it will create a little alleyway right here, so to speak. Well, the chimney gets built and it goes on the in that gap for part of the fill. And the other part we can use is maybe a loading dock, something like that. We'll figure that out as we go. But that in itself makes it a little more complicated. Then we also have to do on the front side. Well, on both sides, we got to take out 2 floors, and on the front side. So that is gonna be a little tricky. So this section here, instead of being 3 stories tall, will be 1 story tall. And then you have the tower side as well. So that's gonna make all of this a little tricky, okay? Now, how am I gonna go about doing all this and building slash bashing slash, as my friend John Schuylkill River Valley would say, hacking this kit? How am I going to go about doing that? Well, if we go to the first page of the instructions, the first page they say to do is put in all the windows, okay? The frames, the windows themselves, the glazing, all that. No, I don't attack it that way. First thing I do is I come in, I prime the backside, and I just use a gray automotive type primer, Rust-Oleum, and that is to help prevent light bleed through the plastic. And this kit comes with a creamish yellow molded plastic for the walls. Once I have that done, I will start truncating, building the walls, putting where necessary, and then I will come in and I'll start doing some more of the detail style painting. You know, brickwork as a whole, natural brickwork, unpainted brickwork, is not typically an even color. There, you can have areas that are different colors, or individual bricks that are different colors, so I've got to go in and do that. Any cornices or windowsills might need to be painted. I got to go in and look at all that, get that detailed out. After all of that's done, then I will come in and I'll put the window frames in. Not the glazing, just the window frames. After that, I will do some weathering, because window frames get weathered too. Now, the glazing or windows themselves, they come with a molded clear plastic. I'm either going to use the black wash technique I talked about previously, or the other option is just a matte finish, which kind of frosts the glass up where light can come out, but you can't visually see into the building. And this building will not have an interior, so all I want to be able to do is see the light coming out when the layout is lit up. Okay, so that is that process. Then I come by and I will put it on the layout, and I'll start moving all the buildings around in Aurora to see what works best before I do the track work. So that's where we're at. Okay, so stay tuned. Like I said, this is a long and drawn out build slash hack. So maybe multiple days, weeks between installments. So stay tuned. We'll get back to you. I want to thank you for joining me here at the Retirement Railroad Matinee Modeling Tip of the Day. Again, I'm Steve, and y'all have a great day. Bye now.